Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we watch an episode of Parks and Rec, and then we talk about it. It's all right there in the name. My name is Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going so well. It is a little damp today in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, outside, yeah.
Well, maybe inside too, depending on your house situation. So I'm feeling pretty warm and cozy inside, but if you are damp inside, then that's too bad.
Search your soul.
Yeah. So, but it's a good day to talk about a great episode of Parks and Rec. We see competence on display in full force throughout this episode, and even in where it seems like there is incompetence, competence rises in a surprising place. And so that's my summary of this episode. How's that sound to you?
That was really good. I was surprised.
It was completely vague. But I figured, we don't have to put it all out there for him. Let the
like
listener
a flower
guess.
rising through the crack on a sidewalk. Exactly.
I've been watching American Beauty. Just a
I just saw
plastic bag floating in the alley.
No, that dumb commercial where like the kid like protects the flower on the sidewalk and then they plant it. And then years later, after they've managed their financial portfolio, the park is full of the same flower. Have you seen that one?
I have not. I have no idea what you're talking about.
There you go. Watch more TV, kids.
I feel like I watch a lot of TV, but I also fast forward through a lot of commercials. So maybe I've just missed that. But the main thing about this episode is campaigns going great for Leslie's team. Bobby is not doing well, so they bring in a new campaign manager, which creates tension on the A plot. On the B plot, Chris is telling Ron that they need to hire somebody to pick up the slack because Leslie's not there. So they need to accomplish a government project. And that's the B plot. And it's pretty great. So, Jeremy, which plot do you want to start with?
A.
Let's start with the A plot. All right. The A plot starts with the cold open. So that's convenient for us. Start at the beginning. And it is an episode of The Final Word with Purd. So we already know this is going to be a wonderful episode because Purd Hapley is with us. We also learned a couple things. First of all, his name on the TV show, everything's written in like a serif font, right? And like looks official on the title card. But then they have a handwritten Purd show up and it looks like it's written by a child, which I love. Because that's just one of the ways that Purd is just like, no, I'm going to really make this my own. The other important thing that we learned is that Purd is short for Purdrick. His name is Purdrick L. Hapley. And now I want to know what the L stands for.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Now, anytime there's a middle name, I kind of just want to know. Like if somebody just writes the middle name, like the initial, it's like, well, what is it that you were like, I need to distinguish myself from other Purdrick Hapleys, but I don't want to use my whole middle name. That's the question. So, listener, if you know what the L stands for, let us know. Send us an email, parksandconversation@gmail.com. And and so he's having people come in and talk about the current city council campaign between Leslie and Bobby Newport. And Leslie, the people are saying Leslie seems to be doing great. And they say, it is all really a great campaign being managed by Ben Wyatt. Everything's going so good. And then they talk about the Bobby Newport campaign and how his numbers are falling. And he's on vacation in Spain. And one of the people says he's not on vacation. He's hiding because every time the guy speaks, he puts his foot in his mouth. And Purd is like, that is a hilarious image. A foot in a mouth. And the lady's like, it's a common expression. And Purd, I love his response, like, okay, I guess if you say so.
If you say so.
yeah. So Perd is just the worst person on television. Like, he should not have a show, but it's pretty great. So Leslie,
but he talks like somebody who should be on TV. So
exactly,
he has one.
He has just empty talk, but he has a voice that sounds authoritative, but he's only saying nonsense. So that works out perfectly for him. So it's pretty. The folks are watching. Everybody's pretty happy about what's going on. So Leslie says, talking head with Leslie, like, we're just basically kicking butt. And I have the best campaign manager anyone could ever have. And then she starts describing Ben, which is a running joke throughout this episode. This time he's a brilliant, sexy little hummingbird. But all of the descriptors are about how small he is. So, which is funny. And later on, he'll be like, "Do you want me to be taller?" So,
what's going on?
So that's the cold open. Then come to the credits, and they are building their plan. And Ben is saying, "Listen, we need to get the senior citizen vote, because seniors are the only ones who vote in local elections. And so they need to get the endorsement, the gray vote. Yeah, they need to get the endorsement of Ned Jones, played by Carl Reiner, which is another wonderful little gem of awesome in this episode. And so they go to reveal their plan to Ned Jones, who they call the Grandfather, because he's like the godfather and the grandfather, Grand. And so they go and meet him, and the intro to Carl Reiner's character is so wonderful. And he's at his desk, and they come in, and they're like, "Oh, so great to meet you. Please don't get up." And he says, "I can't." Like, shocked, like, "Oh," and they're like, "I'm just joking. I can, but it's difficult." And I don't know of anybody who could make me believe that as much as Carl Reiner.
Right.
He's so perfect.
But then he doubles down and says, but I can do it. But it's hard.
And then he goes on to say, "Look, I don't have a lot of time." And Ben is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it cancer?" He's like, "No, I don't have a lot of time before my swim aerobics." So it's Ned Jones is just fantastic. And so then they say, "Listen, we have a plan. 3 words: ramp up Pawnee, and we are going to make buildings wheelchair accessible, because there aren't enough ramps in Pawnee, and that is the 3rd highest complaint behind Everything Hurts and I'm Dying."
I love that "I'm dying" is a complaint.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to tell management? I'm dying.
I'm dying. So, oh man, I just love it so much. And then they continue on in the meeting, and Leslie's talking about the whole plan, and she says, "Listen, stairs are a young man's game." And Ned's like, "You got that right."
Speaking his language.
Stairs are a young man's game. And that is another one of those the lines that I say often in our home whenever I have to go upstairs or downstairs. Stairs are a young man's game. Judah, will you go get me that thing?
And you're young, and you have stairs everywhere you go.
I know. I can't get to my living area of my house without stairs. So even going down to the lower level, I require stairs from every way. Like, I have no ramps on my property. So yeah, I've got no ramps. I think that's a Pinocchio song. So they are, so they're giving the plan, and then Ned says, "Listen, why should I listen to you and not not Bobby's new campaign manager, Jen Barkley?" And that's when they learn about Jen. Like, Newport is hiring somebody to come and run the campaign, and they're looking him up, and she's amazing. She's like very influential, very very, very powerful person. And Leslie starts to seem to panic, and Ben starts to smile because he's like, they're scared. We're winning. We're gaining on them, and they're scared. And so there's like, we have their campaign right where we want them, which is, it's really great. We get to see Ben's like, political astuteness here. Like, he knows what's going on, and this is a good sign for them that they're making this move right now. So they set up a meeting on their turf at JJ's Diner. And so they go and they find out that Jen got there first. So she's already like building friends with the JJ Diner staff, which is going to be important later. And so they're chatting, and Ben basically says, "What are you doing here? This is so much. We looked you up. This campaign is so beneath you." And she's like, "You're right." And Jen, I should also mention, Jen is played by Catherine Hahn, right? Is that her name? Yeah, Catherine Hahn, who is Agatha on WandaVision.
Once again, in the MCU. I'm just going to keep bringing that up. There's so many Parks and Rec people in the MCU.
Yes. All we need now.
So many.
I was really hoping that Nick Offerman would be Ego, the Living Planet. But
that'd be amazing.
What are you going to do? Because he's already got the mustache. And in the comics, Ego, the Living Planet, has a mustache.
As most planets do.
Yeah. So anyway. So Jen is like, listen, Bobby's a moron. And I told Nick Newport, I'm not going to do this. Your son's a moron. He's a loser. But then he paid me $250,000. So, and so then,
for 6 weeks of work,
right? Which is a good rate if you can get it. And so she basically is saying like, I'm just here for the money, and I needed to get out of DC. It's too stressful. To which Leslie says, "Do you know Joe Biden?" She's like, "Oh yeah." It's like, Joe's my celebrity crush. And she's like, "You can do better than Joe Biden." And Leslie's like, "No, I can't." And Ben is sitting right there. She's like giggling. "No, I can't."
And once again, Ben looks right at the camera. Like, come on, come on, guys, somebody help me out. What's happening?
What is going on in this bizarro Pawnee universe that Ben has found himself in? So after the meeting, Ben and Leslie go back to their place, their campaign headquarters at Andy's house, and they are happy after the meeting, and they turn on Purd's show, and Purd is interviewing Jen, and Jen basically takes her down, saying that she is just one more bureaucrat who's only a big government and only thinks about the status quo, essentially. So she's wrong for Pawnee. And then it cuts to it like they're like shocked, Ben and Leslie, but then they cut to an ad after the commercial break, and they take Leslie's ad as a child and have, I believe, Paul Rudd, sexiest man alive, Paul Rudd, officially because of People magazine.
Okay, you weren't just saying that, like,
no, that was just this week. He was proclaimed sexiest man alive. I don't know.
I guess
I don't know who votes on that. But I also like Idris Elba won a couple years ago. Was appointed, declared. He's still alive.
Right.
What happened? How did Paul Rudd
2 years older?
Is that it?
I don't know. I don't know what the qualifications are. Well, one is to be a man, I guess, and
you have to be sexy,
alive.
Man, and alive. So, okay, well, I just don't know. Anyway, sexiest man alive, Paul Rudd.
Why can't I put in for next year? Like, why are they always like these famous people who are good looking? Like, what?
You know what, Jeremy?
It's not fair.
Show them, man. You need to be like April entering Miss Pawnee. At least you didn't make any friends along the way. So, what?
Oh, yeah. Then I would
do it. All right, cool. Keep us posted. Let us know how we can help.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So
vote early and vote often.
I will, absolutely. Let's all right, listener. Let's work together. Most of you have probably never seen what Jeremy looks like. because he's ultra secret on the internet. But let's make Jeremy sexiest man alive. It'll just be a Twitter egg on the cover of. They'll be like, you know what it is? It's the mystery about him. We hear he's tall.
It is. Yeah. The scuttlebutt.
Well, that's one of the other characteristics, his scuttlebutt.
Right. Why not? Why can't it be based on awkward personality? I think if Paul Rudd can win, I'd have a shot.
You know what? The sky's the limit. Because after the sky is the space, and that's when you can't breathe anymore. So Sexiest Man Alive, Paul Rudd is narrating Leslie's new video that they're making as a campaign, basically mocking young Leslie, in like a whiny voice, saying that she wants to, have a unicorn and all that stuff. And so they are watching this and like, oh, they're doing this. And the main thrust of the ad is that city government is a job for adults, not children. Leslie Knope is wrong for Pawnee. And so they're kind of panicked by this shift in the tone of the campaign, but they need to go to the presentation and just convince the seniors. They know they need the senior vote. And so they go and they are getting things started. And when talking through all the different things, like she's coming in on a scooter, like racing in on a little rascal scooter or a jazzy, the hover round, whatever your brand of choice is. And she comes in and is like trying to get up on the platform, and she's like, uh-oh, stairs. And then, but she's
I'm not a professional mountain climber.
Yes. And so she starts laying out her plan. Like, with Ramp Up Pawnee, we're going to make it possible for you to get into all of the government buildings because stairs are young man's game. And so with that, people are excited. But then Ned Jones enters in. Because, well, first of all, there's a guy who says your plan is just a worse version of Bobby Newport's plan. So there's a plant in the senior center. And then Ned Jones comes in. I like
how he says, to start, he goes, ramps are an idiot's game.
Yeah. Ramps are an idiot's game. Yeah. And so then Ned Jones comes in with Jen. It's like, but as he's coming in, he's like, Ned Jones is here. Ned Jones is here. And he is, then talks about how, Bobby Newport's plan is better. Instead of ramps, it's electric lifts outside of every outdoor staircase in Pawnee. And the tagline for this is, the stairs should do the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
escalators.
Yeah, escalators would also work. Have you ever actually, I mean, I go to these places with the lift. I don't need, like, there are people who I know, like, who could benefit from the lift, but someone has to operate it. No one's ever there to operate the lift. So it ends up like people go looking for a ramp or something. So anyway, it's a bother.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a bother.
Do they have controls on the lift itself?
Well, you would think, but no. I don't know. Anyway,
there's no way to know.
I'm perplexed.
Till we get old.
I go. We'll just have to wait. I mean, some of us will get there sooner than others, but so
only by age.
That's usually how it works. So Bobby Newport gets the Ned Jones endorsement, which is a crushing blow to the Knope campaign. And we see Ben and Leslie next reading through the newspaper, and the newspaper saying they're stumbling. The Knope campaign seems to be rolling down a ramp to nowhere, which was a campaign problem for, I think it was it Chris Christie in New Jersey building a bridge to nowhere, Like
Oh,
somebody like
yeah.
put a lot of money into a project that didn't have a bridge project that didn't have a destination essentially. So it's a bridge to nowhere. And so they're like, we're getting crushed by a guy who's not even in the country. And then Ben starts to get flummoxed here. He's like, I wish I was better at this. And then maybe you could be making out with some floozy in Majorca. And so Ben's like, I don't know, we could try to get on Purge show. I don't know. And he starts mumbling like, maybe I'll just go down there. And like he walks out of the room.
Just kind of walks off. Yeah.
So he's completely flummoxed by Jen's just judo of this whole campaign. And so Leslie goes and has a confrontation with Jen at JJ's diner again. And she comes in and trying to call her a two-faced carpetbagging person. And a carpetbagger is someone who's just coming out of town to come in and like win elections. It's from the 1800s. The carpetbag was a kind of suitcase, basically saying like, you cannot, you're not even from here, is the whole dig at being a carpetbagger. And so Jen keeps interrupting and saying like, let me buy you something, anything, it's on me. And she's trying to be nice here. And Leslie's like, I've been practicing this insult the whole way over here. So please let me just get it out of the way. And Jen's like, I can sense you're angry. And so Leslie says like, you stole my idea and yours won't even work. Ramps are more practical, less expensive than lifts. My idea is better. And Jen's like, oh yeah, I don't doubt it, but I don't care. Which is Jen's whole mode throughout this whole campaign is, I don't care about this town at all. None of what we're doing matters. I'm just trying to win. And so Leslie does not understand this because she loves the city so much. How can somebody not want the best for the city and only be thinking about winning? So Leslie's like, listen, I'll get you some waffles that you love. Or Jen says, I'm going to get you some waffles that you love. Like, how do you know I love waffles? It's my job to know. So they keep talking, and Jen's like, what's your Ben's next move for you? And like, listen, I'm not gonna tell you. So Jen then like diagnoses the whole plan. You're gonna go on that perm show again, so you can tell everyone that I stole your idea. And Leslie's like, it's purred, first of all, and no. And then she's like, that's a bad idea because you go on there, people think you're just being petty or sore loser, goody. And so she just kind of breaks it all down, and Leslie's just there watching her, which
play both sides.
Yeah. And Jen even says like, when you love chess and you don't have anything to play with, which I don't, you just gotta play by yourself. And so she's playing it all out, like the chessboard is all in front of her. And then yeah, so like even saying like the Newport plan is too expensive, she's like, you're just saying that because you don't want to spend money on seniors. And we would just say, you can never spend too much on seniors. And so like basically saying you need to have a better idea, come up with something better, like a free service, a shuttle service or something. And Jen's like, yeah, that could work. And Leslie's just there like, wow, like you just gave me a way to beat you. And Jen doesn't care, right? Because she's going to get paid either way.
Right.
And then she's like, the server comes over and it's like waffles and a cappuccino. And Leslie's like, JJ doesn't have a cappuccino. And she's like, oh, it does. I bought them one. So then at the Purge show, Ben and Leslie are talking and he's like, you talked to Jen without me. And I was like, I just wanted to tell her how much of a jerk she was. And so, which is not a great idea. But they get on the show and Jen is in both of their heads as they're trying to work this whole thing out. And Ben's like, you should not get advice from your other person, from the other person's campaign. And so it's like, we need to work together. You can't go on your own out here. And then this is another one of the times where Leslie says, oh, what does she say about it? Talks about how he's small, essentially. So Purd says, let's begin the show by starting it. I love it so much. Let's begin the show by starting it.
It's a logical place to start.
Yeah. And so So Leslie's like, or Pert says, Leslie, you claim that Newport campaign stole your idea. And she's like, yeah, they did. We were working on ramp up Pawnee for weeks. And then Jen just interrupts. This is politics as usual. Bobby Newport's plan is better for seniors, better for Pawnee. And then Leslie says, our plan is more practical. It's cheaper. And there she goes again. And Pert says, I don't know where she went the first time. I don't know where she went the first time. And then Bobby Newport, she says, Bobby cares about better, not cheaper. And then Pert says, our flash poll seems to agree. 78% of those who surveyed prefer the Newport plan to the Note plan. And Jen says that's why Ned Jones endorsed us. And then she's like, I think Leslie is getting off track. But this it's not about the thing. And Leslie's like, no, it's about Pawnee, and that's what I care about. And all Bobby cares about is going off and spending time with the floozy. And then this is when Jen does the crushing blow for this interview. Maybe she's less, he was not just out there, he's trying to convince a European company to build a factory in Pawnee. And that woman is a anti-landmine advocate. I didn't realize that you were pro landmine. And then Pert's
checkmate.
So she claims he's trying to build something for Pawnee, and the woman, the floozy, is anti-landmine. So that therefore Leslie is pro landmine. And then Parter's like, I'm not here to declare a winner, but Jennifer is the winner. And now it's time to move to our next segment, which is a commercial. I love Pert so much. So Ben
Classic
and Leslie
Pert
are at a bar, and they're like, we can't win. She's too good. She's like a hurricane. She's everywhere. And then she literally shows up. Jennifer Barkley shows up, and she's just like, hey, you guys are stepping it up. You guys, that was really fun. You almost got me. And then Leslie's like, well, I could have if Bobby wasn't doing those companies, bringing those factories here. And she's like, oh, I made that up. So, but don't challenge me. That will backfire. So Jen is just cutthroat in all of this. And then, but she's also paying for the bill for them. So it's she's nice about it, which is the hardest thing.
Right.
So
they would be friends otherwise, probably. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so this is where the campaign ends with them is all right, the Newport campaign seemed panicked, but Jen is really good. And so we have to redo our whole strategy is what it feels like at the end of that arc or that part of the episode.
Yeah. And it doesn't end like the story is a to be continued part, which obviously the campaign arc is, but this thing with Jen didn't just wrap up. So yeah, that's right. This is one of the reasons why I really like this episode, because it's we have something to look forward to. This is a formidable foe. This is a bigger problem than just 22 minutes can solve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is great. And Catherine Hahn is so good. She's so good in this role. And so so that's the A plot. The B plot then, Ron goes to Chris's office, and Chris is doing upside down upside down sit-ups or gravity sit-ups. Somehow his feet are hanging from a apparatus. He's hanging by his feet from an apparatus. That's how you say that. And Ron's like, what are you doing? And so it's we basically called Ron up to say, Leslie's gone. Your department should normally have 10 people. You have 7. And Ron's like, yeah, because I try to be inefficient, essentially. I try to do as little as possible in our government. And so Chris is like, you've got things falling behind. You need to hire somebody to pick up the slack with Leslie, because she's stepped back from her responsibilities, and then she's going to be splitting time between the city council and parks if she wins. And so you need somebody to pick up the slack. And Ron does not want to do that at all, because it's against his his whole ethos to have another person working in the government. And so Chris says, well, if you don't want to do that, you have to complete a government project, which Ron is also opposed to. And then he gives this wonderful memory. It's like, I can either hire somebody, which I hate, or complete a government project, which I loathe. It's kind of like when my dad asked me to choose between two calves to slaughter. I couldn't choose. So I slaughtered both. They were delicious. And so Ron is in this difficult place. And so he goes to Anne's office to ask her if she would help them complete what seems to be the simplest project of all time, to get the people of Pawnee to no longer make out with water fountains. Which is gross. And that's what I wrote in my notes. Pawnee is gross with water fountains. Because and Anne is talking about it, and they're cut to all these people drinking from water fountains. And she's like, they just put their whole mouth around the fountain. And so if you drink from one water fountain, you're basically kissing everybody in Pawnee. And so they have to come up with a solution for this. This is their government project. So they set up a water fountain in the middle of the bullpen for the Parks Department, which is I just love that
this is the problem. Right. No, 100%. But just the fact that like this is the thing that the writers chose to show as a problem in Pawnee. You know what? Everyone puts their mouths on the water spigots at drinking fountains.
Yeah. And I would imagine it's
perfect. That's what like 4-year-olds do.
Yes, exactly. Like this is something that one of the writers saw somebody do when they were in elementary school.
Right.
And they're like, what could be something that is weird about Pawnee that could be a project that they could fix? And so like probably Harris, right? Harris Whittles was like, when I was in elementary school, my friend Jairus, he drank water really weird. And he put his whole mouth over the thing. What if everybody in Pawnee did that? And they're like, that's it. That's the one. So, yeah. And so Andy is there as the one to try to test all of the possible solutions, because he is the epitome of the Pawnee male, dumb and thirsty. And so Jerry has a good idea, and he's like, what if we had something like this cage thing, which is like something that you would put around like a light is what it kind of looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't break, like an outdoor light. So the bulb doesn't break. And so they put it around there, and Andy comes up and he like puts the water on. He tries to drink it, and he just takes the cage off, throws it, and then proceeds to make out with the with the water fountain. And then Tom's suggestion is designer water coming in a case, which he's like, what kind of water fountain is the best? How about no water fountain? So he gets into total pitch mode, and Anne's like, no, that's dumb. And then she turns to April. April, what's your idea? And her idea is, I want to finish this book. And so Anne just throws it on the ground, and then asks Donna, and Donna's response is, do I look like I drink water? So it's going great. This simple project is not as simple as it seemed. And so they keep trying, and things like, well, what if we turn the pressure up? And as Anne gets wet, like it splashes on Anne or April. I can't remember now. Anyway, it turns into a water fight, essentially, because everybody is, having fun with this, and everybody's getting splashed, and we don't know how long the water fight goes on, but it goes on long enough that they go beyond just having a water fight with the water fountain in the middle of the office. They also then, Andy gets a whole bunch of water balloons and tapes them to himself. And so he's running around as a kamikaze. And so when Chris and Ron come to see their progress and all the chaos, it is a mess. And Ron yells to get everybody to stop. Tom is under the desk saying, everything I'm wearing is suede. Everything I'm wearing is suede. And it's going nuts. Everybody's soaked. and they all stop when Ron tells them to stop, except for Andy, who runs up with all the water balloons taped to himself and crashes into Chris and hugs him and like, kamikaze. And Chris is just shocked that all of this happened. So this project is not going well. And so then we hear, that they're, fast forward a little bit, they're in the last round of interviews, and Ron tells April, normally I would be proud of you for wasting a whole day of work, but this is one of those rare cases where that's a bad idea. And Ron seems defeated. And like April's like, so there's really going to be a weird person coming in and working here. He's like, I guess so.
Which is the start of like the whole point of this. The whole part that I love about this is like, what would April rather have, a new weird person or to actually have to try?
Right.
Like that's how much she hates people. It's great.
Yeah. So April, then like as Ron is about to go to his doom of hiring a new person, they call in Chris and Ron to say like, hey, no, we actually solved the problem. And they solved the problem by just removing the splash guard, because you can't make out with the water fountain if there's no splash guard. It's just a water shooting straight up. And
I love that Andy does it because he's the one who is modeling it, and he's like, I did it. And April's like,
oh, what?
Good job, babe.
He is like, he saw enough as seen on TV things, which he loves. Right. We know this because of earlier in the series when they go to Bed Bath & Beyond's like, I've seen that on TV, to know how to act in those commercials. Like, he's like, has this ever happened to you? That he's that guy it's happened to. So, and so Chris is like, this is efficient. It's cost effective. It's simple. Excellent. So they don't need to hire a replacement for Leslie. And then cut to Ron and Anne sitting on the bench in Ron's office. And Ron is saying like, listen, I'd like to talk to you about your future in the department, which is so weird because they're sitting like side by side and like on a bench. And he says, look, Anne just says, look, I know that April told you that this was my solution, but it was April who came up with the solution. And she's really the best one to do this, to take over for Leslie, because, she cares. When she cares, she'll do a good job. And Ron's like, I agree. And then he reaches over to his right and just pulls out a stick and a knife and starts whittling. And it's like, are we done? And Ron's response is like, oh, you're still here? Yeah, we're done.
Which is funny because in the episode that I watched, he pulls out a book.
Oh, really? Weird.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, like, I know that there's director cuts and there's different episodes. Like if you watch the DVD versions versus the aired versions, sometimes they're a little bit different. But yeah, in mine, he pulls out a book and just starts reading, like doesn't even say anything. And same thing. She's like, oh, should I go? He's like, oh, you're still here. And the book that he's reading is Paddle Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, now I wish I had that one, because then Nick Offerman would be in universe for Parks and Recreation.
I don't even know what the implications of that would be.
Well, here's the question. Are we in universe for Parks and Recreation?
Yes. Because then we could actually go live there, and I'm for it.
I don't know if I would want to live in Pawnee, but Snurling sounds good. Snurling.
At least go visit.
Sure, I'd visit. I'd see, like, take me to your media empire. Take me to your toy store that makes custom toys.
See, that's okay. This is taking us way too long to get to this point, but what would be the first place that you would visit if you could actually go to Pawnee?
JJ's Diner?
Yes. That was my answer as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but then what?
The little Sebastian Memorial?
Oh, man. I might go to Tommy's Closet.
Is it well, listener, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know.
Still a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's a thing or wasn't a thing. Yeah, I guess it depends upon what's around when. Yeah.
Oh wait, because Tommy's Closet took over because he ran Rent-A-Swag out of business.
Right.
So Rent-A-Swag closed. Tommy's Closet was still around. So in
I
theory,
think so.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I
Anyway,
could be on board
I
for
go to
either of those.
I go to the sports complex for sure.
Sports complex.
JJ's Diner. I'd visit the smallest park.
Well,
Yeah,
I'd try to go to
I'd
the
have to
Grizzle
more.
headquarters.
I was just thinking that too. Go to Grizzle. Try to see if I could pick up a copy of Cones and Downshire.
Yeah. Yes. That would be, yeah, there's so many good things to do. So
yeah, listener, where would you go? Like, regardless of timeline, like what are the places that you would have wanted to visit at any point in the Parks and Rec series?
Tell us, email us, parksandconversation@gmail.com. Tell us, where would you go, listener?
I mean, obviously City Hall, because I want to see all of the murals, right?
Yes. We were watching a mural or an episode out of sequence in like season 6. And in the mural that was in the background, no name is given, no explanation is given, but it seems like somebody was hit by a car and a clown was delivering aid.
I'm so excited now to see that.
And I paused. I was like, you family, what do you think's going on in that mural?
What do you think the name of this mural is?
Yeah. Like,
Stop
laughter is
around.
the best medicine. Something like that. So I'm pretty excited about when we get to that. So so then the credit scene, Ron goes to April and says, listen, I need you to pick up slack. And I don't want you to waste your brain. You're too smart to just waste your brain doing nothing. And so April agrees. And so then Ron calls Chris and says, listen, April's going to pick up some of the things that Leslie is not able to do. And Chris is like, excellent. I've loved April from day one. And Ron just hangs up on him. And they're both just like, yes, that was the perfect response. So, and that's the episode. 2 plots, independent of each other, essentially. But good episode.
And I love when Ron asks and he says, please. And she says, okay, only because you begged.
Right.
So
only because you begged. Yeah.
Simple episode. Pretty much everyone was in it again. And even in small roles. I think one of my favorite Jerry parts was when April is just spraying him with the hose up against the window during the water fight. Because he wasn't in it a lot. And Donna just saying, do I look like I drink water?
Do I look like I drink water? Yeah. So very, great episode. I'm trying to find it on IMDb. Here we are. Because I didn't see what it was rated before we jumped into it. So
it's an 8.0.
8.0. I don't know, guys. Are people even paying attention anymore? Well, it's a pretty good episode. So, anyway.
I liked it. What did you think? How does this? Yeah,
I think it's great. I wish it's episodes like this that make me wish the campaign season was longer to get more dynamic with Jen. But Jen Barkley is just so good. Such a great character. So.
And I liked how it felt like with Jen there, like even though like Bobby Newport was in the background, so it's like it kind of felt like Paul Rudd was around, even though we never really saw him.
Yeah, so, we heard him. Maybe
heard him.
I think we heard him. Anyway, So, and Perd, Jen, Carl Reiner is a delight. Was a delight because R.I.P. Carl Reiner. But so good, so many good things. So
next episode is Lucky. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, listener, tell us what you thought. Tell us where you would go if you could go to Pawnee. And the next episode is what, Jeremy?
Lucky. Leslie's campaign could be in big trouble when she records a TV interview after a couple of drinks. Meanwhile, April tries to set Chris with Andy's women's studies professor, but things go unexpectedly.
Yes, this is good. We have a guest star on this episode.
Yes.
Who is it?
An airport's involved.
An airport is involved. What's the guy's name? He's Jack from from Will and Grace. He's not immediately listed on the episode sheet. Oh, Sean Hayes. There he is. Sean Hayes as Buddy Wood. So, yeah, it'll be fun. All right. Well,
I'm excited.
Listener, enjoy the rest of your life until next time. And then stop enjoying it for a little bit to listen to this podcast and then get back to enjoying your life. How's that?
Podcasts are a young man's game.
I'm not a professional mountain climber. Yeah. All right. Well, Jeremy, I'll talk to you later, sir.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.